Welcome to the Expanding Your Search and Stopping for Directions podcast with Brent Bailey. And at the tech booth, Jody Cook-Bailey and Luke Cardiel. We are growing our circles of connections and knowledge together with encouraging conversations and positive communications. And now, Brent Bailey.
And good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Expanding Your Search and Stopping for Directions. It's Brent Bailey, and it is the 12th of October, and man, this year is starting to get blurry. It's moving so fast. It's so good to have you with us. It moved so slow for so long, and now we're moving so fast. But anyway, it's so good to have you with us today. I'm joined, of course, by Jody and Luke over there at the tech booth. And guys, there's a lot going on today. Let's get this show on the road. We got a lot to talk about. Today's guest is amazing. I've been following this guy for a long time and never had the honor and pleasure of meeting him. And we know a lot of the same people, have a lot of mutual friends. And I'm so excited to have a speaker, author, church historian, just all around. He is a very well-spoken minister. And I'm excited to have Robert Slaridan with us today. And we'll be bringing him out here in just a few minutes. It's going to be a great show, especially if you're familiar with Robert's ministry. And so it's going to be good. All right, guys,
which is a big ministry.
Big,
absolutely.
It's worldwide, and a lot of folks. I was telling him in the pre-interview, I've been following him since I was a student at Rhema in the early '90s. So I'm excited to have him here with us today. All right, So today, October the 12th, Monday, it is obviously, today is also known, if you would be here at our house, you would know something's going on because we have a house full of boys today.
We do.
But both Preston and Peyton had people spend the night last night because they're out of school today for Columbus Day.
Yes.
So today is the day, Columbus Day. It's also known here in the States as National Indigenous Peoples Day. Yep. And whichever one you call it, it is still, whatever stance you take on that. This is a day that we're celebrating a merging of cultures.
Yes.
You know, because regardless of what you think of Christopher Columbus, if he had not made the journey over here, there wouldn't be a merging of cultures between the folks that were here and the Europeans, and of course it opened up the day, it opened up the world for there to be a lot of cross-culturing that happens, and so today we celebrate that.
Yes, we do.
Here on Columbus Day, or National Indigenous Peoples Day.
Yes.
Something kind of cool about the whole migration thing is that you do know that tomato, it's a big part of Italian cuisine. Tomatoes, tomato sauce, all that stuff. That's not from Europe. Tomatoes are from the United States.
Is that right?
Yeah. They do not grow. They're not from over there. So
interesting.
So there was none of that stuff in Italian cuisine until the discovery of the United States.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's fascinating.
Thank you for that.
And so grateful to the Native Americans who were growing that.
Yes, harvesting
for all those years.
Yeah.
All right. Also on today, it is, of course, there are all kinds of special national days that are celebrated. And Mondays, we have come to find out, is the United States Day. So every state gets their own day of the year, I guess. And today is National Vermont Day.
Vermont.
So maple syrup.
Yep.
Of course, we like to talk about food on this show. Maple syrup comes from Vermont. And of course, if you're Jody and I both we're of the Friends generation, where we watched Friends when it was on the first time, not the 75 reruns that
Yes,
now.
and that I still watch.
75 times a day. But anyway, of course, we all remember the episode with Ross and eating all the candy, the maple flavored candy, and so that's Vermont. Vermont's a beautiful state, and
It is.
happy Vermont Day.
Yeah.
All right, what else is going on today, guys? There's a lot of other good things happening
it's
there.
National Kick Butt Day.
Yeah.
I
Kick
almost read that
butt
as Kick
day.
Your Butt Day.
Well, for me,
Kick a Butt Day.
for
I don't
me
know.
today, well, every
Kick your
day
bottom
is
day.
kick butt day for me. So
Oh, is it?
yeah, because
Okay.
I just kick butt, man.
Just kidding.
I'm just out there
Yeah.
kicking butt every
Some
day.
folks are probably wondering what in the world is National Kick Butt Day, and how are you talking about that on a Christian show with a guest like Robert Slarty with us
Yeah,
today?
yeah.
Here's what it basically means. It's a day designed with you to be motivated and really to reach out and fulfill your purpose.
Yes.
Today's the day that you should be grabbing hold of your purpose and
Yes.
actually doing something
Doing
with it.
something
And not
about it,
everything.
yeah.
Not everything has to be lofty and everything has to be big. There is a list of things, as they say, listen, you should approach this, especially this day, but every day, you should be approaching small things that are just as much about kicking butt as anything else. Teaching your kid to tie their shoes, donating food to the food banks, decorating a cake, whatever it is that you're doing. The
Do it
Bible
well.
actually teaches this. Do it all to the glory of God. And
Yes.
so today,
Amen.
is a day to do that on. It's National Kick Butt Day.
Yes.
So get out there and kick
Yeah,
it.
it's that motivation that someone probably needs just to take that first step.
Yeah.
That's
You
right.
know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly.
Start
That's-
kicking butt.
That's right. So also today is there's a lot of banking holidays
Yeah.
today, or national days today.
Yeah,
There's
national-
two of them. There's National Savings Day and National Online Bank Day.
Right.
So
Right now, that's pretty much what you have
I
to
do know you can get a
It's online
way
banking.
better return on just putting your money in a bank on online banks. Like they'll give you,
Yeah.
there's
It's
a lot
true.
more perks. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
true. And one of the goals of kicking butt should be starting a savings account.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Do that.
And you can do it right off of your phone right now.
Yeah.
Get out there and
exactly.
kick some butt with your
Lots of
finances.
things. Yeah.
All right. Today is also Native American Day. Of
Yes.
course, we've kind of already touched on that.
Yes, we have.
It's also National Farmers Day.
Farmers Day.
And those folks in the Midwest that are the farms of America, and I'm not talking about, the couple 100-acre farms. I'm talking about the massive thousands and thousands of acres farms that really keep the food, the vegetables and things just going. Thank you for all your hard work.
Oh, yeah.
We
Yeah.
appreciate you. And then lastly, of course, keeping up with the food
Oh, please.
thing
yes.
is today's National Gumbo Day.
National Gumbo.
Ooh,
And
yes.
we love to celebrate the food days.
We
so-
sure do. Gumbo Day.
So if we're
mean,
going to ask on the podcast audience today, what kind
Bless
of
the
gumbo
Lord.
do you like? Drop down in the comments as you're hitting the share button today and let us know, what is your favorite gumbo? Is it shrimp? Is it, seafood?
Chicken
Is
or-
it spicy? Do
Right.
you like it hot? What is your version of gumbo? Drop down there and let us know
Yeah.
in the comments below. All right.
Yeah.
And then a couple of birthdays to celebrate today. Today is Luciano Pavarotti's birthday. Now I know he
Aw.
passed away 2007, but it's his birthday today. And then
I grew up really looking up to that guy.
Oh, I know.
I mean, come on,
yeah.
the voice that just absolutely changes everything about.
Well, Jody and I both did
you're
opera
both-
arias.
that's
we
right.
did.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
did.
Today is also the American Dream. Dusty Rhodes' birthday is today. You
Oh,
guys
really?
have no idea how good that impersonation was right now, but anyway.
No,
Kirk Cameron is 50 years old today, and then of course, if you're like my wife, a big fan of The Greatest Showman, Hugh Jackman's birthday is today. So
Yes.
he's
Happy
only,
birthday, Hugh.
only 52. So
Wolverine
Yeah.
is 52. Wow.
yeah, right. I thought he was way older because he doesn't age.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, right.
He doesn't.
All right. Well, that's what's going on in the country right now. Let's jump in with our guest and let's expand our search. My guest today is Dr. Robert Slarden, and he is an author. He is a public speaker. He is a spiritual leader, church historian, humanitarian. He's been in the public eye for many years. It started when he was a young age, preaching at the age of 13 years old. He started lecturing on a topic that's very dear to his heart, the God's generals. When he was 15 years old, he was lecturing in colleges about that. He is pastoring here in Orlando, also in Orange County, California, has the Embassy International Church. He also has the headquarters of the Embassy Global Network. He travels all over the world. He's been on television, and he's got some new books. And when I say some, I'm probably barely scratching the surface. He's written over 80 books, sold millions of them worldwide. Of course, he's known for the God's Generals books, but more than that. But he's got a few that he's just released and a couple that have been updated, and we're going to talk to him about that. I want you to welcome to the program today, Roberts Laridan. There he is in his office. Hey.
Good to see you all.
Man, it's so good to have you here. And as I was saying to you earlier, sure is a pleasure to finally meet you. I feel like we've circled the same the same places for so long, and so, yeah, it's so great to have you here. Now, my mother-in-law she's one of our biggest fans, but she made a point to make sure that I pass along to you her greetings and her love. Of course, Sharon Cook knows you from back in the days at Melodyland years ago for Dr. Wilkerson.
That goes back a few decades, not years, but decades.
I was trying to be nice. She's watching, so.
You knew about me when you were at Raymond in the 90s, and I'm thinking, how old is he and how old am I? But I sometimes forget, I started so young that I'm living two lifetimes. I got my first half of my life and the last half, so I have two lifetimes.
Yeah.
So I've just been in my second half.
Yeah, and it seems to me like you're just getting as revved up for the second half as you did in the first.
I want to be bolder, louder, and faster.
Awesome, and that's a great goal to have. I'm getting ready to turn 50. I'm not sure exactly what your age is.
Welcome to the club.
I turned 50 in February, and I'm trying to gear up myself for that as well. So I hear you loud and clear. Now, talk to us just a little bit. You actually started preaching when you were 13. Tell us what that was like.
I preached my first sermon when I was 13 years old in North Carolina in Assemblies of God Church. And so from that point on, I started preaching. So I'm a teenage preacher. I'm like a young teenage preacher. And so I preached my first sermon then. And then from there on, I began to get invitations to do youth and small churches and some conferences. And it kind of just evolved after that first meeting. And I've never had any other career, any other job outside of ministry. So I'm one of those unique characters that I began early. I stayed with it. I worked through all the ups and downs, and I still like it and still going for it. So that's how I began.
Yeah, it's kind of like if it's not broke, don't fix it. I mean, you're still. I mean, I caught some of your stuff on YouTube, and I was like, man, he's as fire as he ever was. So go for it, man. How did you start? You started lecturing in colleges too at a young age. How did that happen?
Yeah, at 15 years old, I went to interview the dean of Oral Roberts University Theology School in those years because he had written a book about John Wesley. And I was studying John Wesley's life and the birth of the Methodist revival. And two books were contradicting each other. And I discovered that he was at ORU in Tulsa, where I was living that time. So I made an appointment to go see him. And he thought I was a college student. He didn't know I was a high school student. So my mom had to drop me off because I couldn't drive. So I go in and I start asking questions. I pulled the two books out and said, now, this is you. And then I said, there's a conflict here. And I didn't know what's going on. And you wrote this book. And he kept going, who are you? Where did you come from? Because it was such a different thing. He finally said, are you in my classes? I said, no, I go to Union High School in Tulsa. That's where I go to school. And he freaked out in a positive way. And he began to, I guess, interrogate me and found out that I knew more about Pentecostal history than anybody in the theology school. And he brought me in and told us, it was the upperclassmen, said the first 20 minutes, you'll think he's an arrogant, you won't like him, you'll get mad. But after that, you'll love the guy. And so that's how he kind of introduced me. And I did a 2-day seminar on Pentecostal leaders of the movement. And I got a standing ovation at the end of the 2 days. And
wow.
So that's how it began at 15 years old.
What an incredible story that is. Now, you kind of have made that your thrust of your ministry is really bringing us the history of Pentecostal and religious leaders here in America and really worldwide. What was it that stirred up in you to grab hold of that version or that aspect of our faith?
Well, I had an encounter. I don't know how your listeners will react to this, but Jesus walked through the front door of my house when I was a teenager and told me, study the lives of my generals, know why they succeeded, why some failed, because there'll come a generation who will need to know what I will show you if you'll do what I tell you. And he said a few more things, and then he walked out. Now, I didn't like anything about what he said because I didn't want to hear the word study. And I thought studying preachers would be the most boring thing in the world, because at that time, I was going to a Pentecostal holiness church, and all the preachers I knew were fat, bald-headed, and spit while they preached. And that's more true, and I'm not exaggerating.
No, I grew up Pentecostal. I'm with you.
And so I didn't want the Lord to be mad at me, to be very honest. So I picked up a Christian biography of a preacher in our home because we had a small library. We've always loved books in our family. And when I read about the chapter and a half, something exploded inside of me, a consuming, happy passion to read books and to talk to old people who knew famous preachers and to tell the story, to know what they did right, what they did wrong. And I still do it today. I'm 54 years old, and I still, if you walk into my bedroom or hotel room, you'll see at least 2 or 3 books I carry with me, other than that I'm reading and studying because I want to know and I want to help others. And the God General series is the study of who God chose, what he did through them in the time, the period that they were alive. If they made some mistakes, what were they, so we can learn from them? Because you can review something and look at something without being judgmental. You can be honest about a person's successes and failures or things without being anti. Everybody that I write about, I like. I would go to their meetings today and put money in the bucket and support them. So there's not an axe that I'm grinding. I just want people to learn how God called them, their gift, their anointings, how their life revolved around the gift, and their families. And that seems to have worked worldwide for me. I never knew or never thought that any of the books or this kind of thing would ever become as big as it has. But I guess the Lord knew more than me, and I'm doing my best to preach the gospel and to teach the generals and to do it all over the world.
You know, you said something there that was really, I think it's very instrumental for us as the body now. All of our leaders have all made mistakes at some point in time, and there's a way to learn and still be blessed by what they did without,
everybody great has done something stupid, or more commonly known as a sin. Okay, so there's hope for all of us, guys. If we made a mistake, God's a God of a second chance and a third chance and a fourth chance. My suggestion is don't use all the chances up. 1 or 2 is enough, and learn from the mistakes of others and yourself. And go forward. And if you lose a group of people that don't like you nowhere because they can't process your humanity or that moment when you didn't quite make the right decision or you made the very bad decision, there is 7 billion people. Don't cry over 2,000 don't like you no more. Go meet the rest of them and have a good time and learn the lessons of your successes and your failures and make sure you correct them.
Wow, that's so good. Now, I know that you've done a version of this for kids as well, and Jody and I were talking about that. That's something that we want to get into our kids' hands. But what made you kind of go down that direction? Because I agree, the initial of that is like, oh, studying preachers would be boring. How do you transition that?
Well, I liked it, and I found out that little kids were coming to my meetings, and they would come up after church and ask me questions about the generals. And some of it was because I'd written the other books at adult level, and I thought, let's do this for kids. And so I did 12 volumes. You see 3 of them on the screen there for the ages of 8 to 13. I want them to have the Sioux Trooper heroes. We don't need Wonder Woman. We got Catherine Kuhlman. We don't need Batman. We got John G. Lake. We don't need these characters to be our kids' superheroes. Let's put real biblical, supernatural people in their lives as the role model, the storyline, and help them build an identity. And also, I wanted to do this for adults and for children. We have to remember, we are spirit-filled people. We do not come from Charles Spurgeon. Love Charles Spurgeon. I love John Wesley. we come from Amy Sybil McPherson, William Seymour, John G. Lake, Oral Roberts, Catherine Kuhlman. Those are our heroes and our identity. And we want to put that into the people's hearts, because that's a part of building a strong identity to take the move of God to our generation and the next stronger and better than the last one.
Wow, that's so powerful. Now, I noticed that a lot of those are written about people that were alive years and years and years ago. Have you started something for some of the more modern guys like the Oral Roberts and the Kenneth Hagins and the?
They keep asking. Well, I've written about Oral Roberts and Billy Graham, but they're also done now. The initial rule, you had to be dead for 7 years to be in the series. Okay. I've made a few alterations on that. And this is the reason why. So when someone has died, their reputation is settled, their ministry after them is settled, everything is kind of settled. And then you can talk and ask questions and discuss things without hurting a person or bringing something up that should not be brought up while they're alive. And so if I was to write about living people today, like if I wrote about Dr. Cho or Rod Parsley or one of these, it would not be fair for me to pull up things that they walked through years ago in their lives. Let's say they did something, and I'm not saying Parsley did or these guys, but if they did, that's not fair.
I got you.
And so I thought about writing a series called Living Legends and asked them to tell me 2 things they did wrong they want to talk about, and 2 things they did right they want to talk about, and let them pick it. And so that way it is not something that's hard to deal with. Some things should only be talked about once the person is in heaven. Then you can talk about it in a different way, an honorable way, and it doesn't pull pain and bad memories up.
All right. Now you've got one book that's coming out here right before Christmas. It's kind of I guess it's an updated version of the Great Azusa Street Revival, Life and Sermons of William Seymour. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, this book I've been working on for a while. William Seymour is one of the great, great generals of all time. God chose an African-American man in the early 1900s to become the pastor, the leader, and the catalyst of the Pentecostal movement that is still going on today. That little guy you see in the picture there, and behind him is actually the mission. We want to honor the revival, and we want to honor him. But it's been very difficult to get his teaching together. So what I did in this book is write about the revival and Seymour's life, and then I found all the sermons that we have anywhere in the world that Seymour preached, that there's a record of or a print of, and put them in this book, because I wanted to preserve the sound of Azusa Street. I want to preserve the sound of the pastoral and the leadership, revival leadership gift in Daddy Seymour. And this is the best way to do it, is let you read what he preached in the time the revival was going. So this book has more pictures and more sermons and updated information on the revival. So we're going to release it again for Christmas. It's a great holiday gift for pastors and Spirit-filled revivalists. You'll love this book very, very much.
Wow. Now, just by you saying that, I've got to have you come back on the show and just talk about the leadership qualities of some of these guys, because I guess I wasn't aware that it talked about some of those things too. And that, to me, is a whole fascinating onion that we need to peel back some layers on. So
anytime.
All right. Roberts, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate you. And again, we've admired you from afar and looking forward to building a great relationship and a friendship here. God bless you. Have a great rest of your day. And, man, keep going.
Thank you. We'll talk again. Bye-bye.
All right. That sounds good. That's Dr. Robert Slayerden. There is his information on the screen right there. It's robertslayerden.org. You can reach out to him on Facebook and Twitter at Robert Slayerden, and Instagram at @RobertSlayerden_official. And he's got a YouTube channel. It's Robert Slayerden. You can catch some of his sermons, some of his lectures. Man, it is fascinating material. I would encourage you to jump in there and do that. All right. Let's take a minute and stop for directions. You know, while Roberts was talking and I was thinking about the show today, I actually talked about this a little bit with my church on Wednesday night. You know, you can look ahead to the great folks that have gone before us, and you can learn a whole lot. And, you know, God has a specific calling for you in your life. What is it that God's created and purposed you to do? That's up to you to find out. You know, I was preaching to my church in 1 Samuel when David got anointed to be the king. He didn't run out and just try and figure something out. The Bible actually says that his first appointment was to go and work for the king. And there's a gift and a calling that's inside of you right now that gives you an audience with the person at the next level. So whatever it is that you're called to do, it may or may not be related directly to your gift. David's gift didn't really have a lot to do with his calling. He was anointed and called to be the king, but his gift was to play an instrument. I would say to you today, if you want to get in an audience with some of these great men of God that have gone before you, or somebody at the next level of what you're called to do, polish up on your gift the way David did. David was so good at playing the harp that it took him before the king. Whatever your gift is now, use it, polish it, be great with it. And then when you get your audience with somebody in the next level, pay attention to what they do. Do what Roberts was talking about today. Pay attention, listen, learn. Use that influence in your life, but stay with your gifts until your gifts get you to the place where you have to submit. And David had a chance to kill Saul, and he submitted and kept his gift in check, and God made sure his calling got fulfilled. That's my direction for you today. I pray that you have a great day. All right, that's going to wrap it up for the show today. I'm so grateful to Robert Slayerton for coming and be with us today. Man, I could listen to him talk forever, because talking about our history and our heritage is a great thing. To Jody and to Luke, good job, guys. Another great show. Again, my thanks to Dr. Robert Slayerton. Coming up next on the program, we've got all kinds of great guests lined up, but our next one is a corporate leader and coach, Ronnie Doss. You'll not want to miss it. Have a great rest of your day. I hope you found what you were looking for as you took the time to expand your search and stop for directions. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks for joining us today. Connect with us on @ExpandingYourSearch on Facebook and Instagram, and @ExpandingSearch on Twitter. Relive any of our episodes on YouTube. We're available wherever podcasts are found, including Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. You can also download the Direction Ministries app on iOS, Android, Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire. Take some time today to expand your search and stop for directions.